I am beautiful, I am gifted, I am loved. Every step I take raises my vibration. Every breath I take heals my body. Jesus flows through me to heal me, and together we heal the world. What are you saying to yourself today? Because that's what I said to myself walking on the beach. Welcome back to the show. My name is Wes Coons. We're going to open realms and cross dimensions, and we are going to heal the things that have haunted us our whole life. We're going to break generational curses, create generational blessings. I just want to say thank you for being on the show. You know, one of my favorite things used to be is announce all the new countries and stuff that we're connecting with the podcast, but we're in so many countries now, we don't get a lot of new ones. But I just want to say thank you for being here. As always, I get to interview the most powerful women on the planet. So, hey, Michelle, how are you?
Sarah.
What did I say?
Michelle.
I'm leaving that on the thing. So, hey, Sarah, how are you?
I'm great.
Good. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. Very excited.
My pleasure. It's a little early this morning, so.
Well, it's a great way to start the day.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I like your new haircut. You cut all your hair off, right?
Thank you. Yeah, I did.
Yeah. That's cool. And, of course, Abby's here, so we had to lock her in the other room so she's not driving us nuts and barking. Sarah, tell us about you. Because the honest answer is I met you probably 6 minutes ago, and that's the best part about the show. I get to figure out who you are.
Yeah, that sounds great. Hi, I'm Sarah Michelle. I am a hypnotherapist, and I am helping people relieve chronic pain.
Nice. Mm-hmm. See, I called you Michelle. I was half right.
Mm-hmm, yeah. It's my middle name.
Nice. That's interesting. So I have lived with pain my whole life. And I remember my mom just suffered with pain. I mean, that woman just suffered with pain. So how does that work? How does hypnosis take pain from somebody's body?
Sure. So most people, they get an injury and then they heal. And our bodies usually take about 6 to 12 weeks to really heal. It depends what you've broken or injured in your body. But I would say after 12 weeks, pain becomes a signal that's stuck in the brain. So what has happened is it's kind of like a learned habit. You have learned to keep looking for the pain in your body, focusing on that certain sensation in your body. And so it's just a signal that's happening from the brain to that point of reference that is continuing to play out. It's a pattern happening.
Okay. So I've never heard it explained that way. That makes sense to me. Now, does the client still have pain, or are they manifesting the pain?
I wouldn't say manifesting the pain, because pain is real. I don't want anyone to think,
Sure.
Oh, you're just saying it's all in my brain. That is not true. It can still physically be in your body because there's also physiology with it, because your brain is able to change the physiology of your body as well. With that, sometimes what is happening is your body is sending less oxygen to that area. The pain is real in that particular area because there's less oxygen going there. But it's because of this, I would say, kind of like an alarm system. You are hyper aware of this one particular spot, or maybe many spots on your body.
Sure.
And so it's an alarm system going off. You're always like, that alarm, it's in the background. I hear it. And so you're like, I need to go change out the battery. And that doesn't work. I'm going to go do this. You try all these different things because you're just so hyper focused on this alarm system.
Yeah.
When it's like, you just might need to reprogram it.
Well, I know for me, I pulled my back out. I don't know what. I got shots in my back 6 weeks ago, I guess it was. And I couldn't get out of bed for a month, literally. Sitting there, feeling the pain, but also constantly thinking about it.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah, you're just very hyper focused on it, and that's the only sensation you're focused on. And so that's what I help people with is the negative thought patterns around it, the continuous patterns of thinking about this sensation, and also just the fear of movement, because then you don't realize it, especially probably someone that's experiencing physical pain all day. You start to say in your mind, I can't do this movement. I can't step like this. It becomes so minute. It's you're walking on the sidewalk and you're thinking about each step and each crack, and you're like, oh, I got to avoid that crack because if I step on that wrong, then that's going to make my back tweak, and then that's going to make my whole day go wrong. So it's it's down to that miniature level. We don't realize that's where it's starting, is that thought pattern around just a crack on a sidewalk.
Well, I remember Mom, we're talking about you're going to Las Vegas for work soon, but I had to go to Las Vegas with my parents, and watching her walking down the street, being careful where she stepped because she was so worried she's going to be in pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hard to watch.
Yeah, it's very, I mean, I experienced it myself. So this is why I want to help people, of course, because I am my own story as well.
So, I mean, I've never heard of hypnosis helping people like that, helping people this way. I mean, how did you decide how did you find it, and how did you decide this is what I want to do to change the world?
I feel very lucky it found me.
Nice. Yeah.
We talk about alignment and the world bringing us what we need. The universe brought me this. So I have a good friend I've known for a very long time, since high school, and we got reconnected. And I've already been into the health and wellness industry, and so he knew that. I'm also a nutritional practitioner, so I can help people with in that sense as well. And so I was already doing that, and then he was like, hey, I have this certification that I'm doing, and I know who you are and what you're about. I think you'll really like this. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to check this out. And it was during my chronic back pain journey. And as soon as I took the certification, I was like, this is it. This is where it all starts. No matter if it's chronic pain or even a lot of people changing their nutrition habits. If they're not thinking differently, they're not going to follow through on these protocols. So it just really clicked for me, and I started doing self-hypnosis for my own pain and realizing my own thought patterns and fear of movement. And so that's what happened, is then I realized, wow, this is so powerful, and I love reading and learning. So since then, I've done tons of certifications around pain control and hypnosis. So
Do you know Beth Rose?
I don't.
She owns Tranquil Flames. She's a healer up the street. I'll just get it out that way. But she's a very good friend of mine, and she is a reader. She loves to study. Those aren't my strong points. I don't enjoy that type of stuff. And I always tease when I see her that what did she learn this week, so she can tell me I don't have to read it. But I love Beth. Yeah, she came on the show and she started speaking German, and no, it was Russian and French. I'm like, who knows Russian and French?
Wow.
So, but we do have a lot of listeners in Russia and France, so thank you for listening. Now, what is hypnosis? I mean, you see the people go on the stage and the guy shakes their hand briefly and all of a sudden they're passed out on the floor. I mean, is that stuff real?
It is. Stage hypnosis is a whole different area that I haven't studied that, but those hypnotists on stage are able to quickly see in the crowd, based off of your micro expressions and movements, who is more hypnotizable. And so then that brings up the topic of people being like, well, I'm not hypnotizable. And I believe everyone is, because we experience hypnosis every day. So I know you don't like reading, but do you like watching movies?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever laughed during a movie?
Sure.
Cried?
All the time.
Okay. You've been hypnotized.
Huh. So how does that hypnotize you?
Well, you're in such a focused, aware state. You were drawn into that story, and it wasn't actually happening in your present moment. You were using your imagination to follow along with the story, which created an emotion for you.
That's a trip. So now, are you going to be able to teach me hypnosis so I can convince some girl to get married? Find my wife.
No.
Can we hypnotize her?
No.
No. All right.
No, no, that's not
It's
happening.
not going to work, huh? Damn, I'm batting 1,000 on that one. Thanks, God. Thanks. See.
I only provide positive suggestions. So if I met a lady, I could be like, Wes is a really great guy. I think you should get to know him.
Hey, everybody, I've already got her hypnotized thinking I'm a nice person. Look at that. But I was watching this little video on TikTok or something the other day, and it was a cartoon, and it had God, and there's 3 or 4 guys there, and the whole thing was, do we send him another young lady to help with character development, or the love is life? And God says, we'll send one more for character development. It was funny. I was like, yeah, I think I'm in that realm. So it's fun. Tell me this. When you work on somebody, I mean, is it a one session, one and done? Is it a package that they do to go through? In my mind, because we just went through linguistics programming course, which you're going to do in September, right? Looking at how that changes and rewires the brain, and there's layers to it. There's different things. So is hypnosis the same thing?
Yes. So I definitely do multiple sessions because the first session, we can get to a lot of your limiting beliefs, but we need to clear that first. We need to understand what we're working with and start clearing things. And then more of the stuff comes up from underneath, which I'm sure you're familiar with. NLP and hypnosis have a lot in common. A lot of the hypnotic techniques I use are based in NLP. And NLP is conscious hypnosis. Yeah. So hypnosis isn't just close your eyes. It also can be done consciously.
So wait a minute. Do you have one of them little clocks that little watches,
No,
in the
I
cartoons?
don't do that.
You do that? All right. I was going to say, I want to see your watch if you do. So
I need to start carrying one. I should get one.
you should get one.
Yeah.
You
so
should get one.
people like, yes, I have a watch. Look at this.
Yeah, look at the watch. We're going to change your life. So now, how long have you been doing it?
Almost 3 years.
Nice. I have come across so many people that have stepped into their healing journey and helping others in the last 3 to 5 years. I mean, nearly every single person on this show,
Wow.
it's been in that time period. And so I don't know if that's just a big energetic shift of the planet for us to start doing that or what, but it's been a wild journey, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Are
it.
you into numerology?
A little bit, yeah. Mhm.
Okay. This person I follow online, she's a numerologist, and I'm really into numerology as well. And she talks about, because we go through these 7 and 9 year cycles. And so this 7-year cycle, that's 35 to 42. And she says a lot of, well, she speaks to women, but I'm sure
Sure.
it's for men as well, that during that cycle, things explode in your life. So everything has to kind of clear for the good things to come in. And that's my cycle I'm in right now. And when I went back and looked at all the things that have happened in my life from 35 to now, I'm like, yep, that sounds about right. Because I was in the tech industry and
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what the deal is. I'm a Virgo, so I've been seeing all this stuff for Virgos, and they said something along the lines that this last week we just left like 137-month process as a Virgo, basically getting your ass beat up for that time, which makes sense because I think when I did the math, that was almost 15 years ago. So, I separated from my wife at that time, and this last 15 years has been difficult. The spiritual awakening took me almost 5 years to learn how to process what's going on, want to be here. It's not that I wanted to take my own life or anything. I just didn't want to be here because I'm seeing all these wild and crazy things. I talk to dead people all the time, which is interesting. And I didn't know how to process everything. So when they said that time period was coming to an end, they're so correct in the stuff that they talk about, though.
Yeah.
I'm like, how's this? I don't know who created it. I mean, how does somebody 150, 500 years ago, whatever it is, sit down with a piece of paper and say, okay, Virgos, you're going to get your ass beat for 15 years, and on this day it's going to come out. I don't know how that works, but it is crazy how accurate it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not into astrology as much, but one of my best friends is. So I get her to tell me all the information because I'm like, I love learning, but there's topics I'm drawn to. And so like you said, I'll allow other people to teach me the things I'm not learning.
Yeah, exactly. I've been paying attention to that a little bit. And it's funny. I had in my mind, I was going to retire out of owning a real estate company in the next 30 to 60 days, right? I mean, I had a year-long plan. My contract with my franchise is up in July. And long story short, things just started to not align. And after a meeting I had yesterday, at the end of the meeting, I'm like, well, I'm in real estate, owning a real estate company for 2 more years. And I had all these plans and all this stuff, but I got to be honest, I've done this long enough, but as I was going through the process, things started to be a little wonky. And I'm like, why is this not right? Because if it's right, it should be easy, it should be smooth. And then when I had this meeting, I believe that happened for a reason. And I thought I was really going to be upset about that. And I feel like I've got this new energy about running my real estate company now that I haven't had in a long time. So that's kind of cool.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, and then if you listen to what these people are talking about with being a Virgo and stuff like that, they're talking about new beginnings and things coming to you that you've been looking for and stuff like that. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we become what we think about. So.
Right. So for you, what was the energetic shift then? What felt more connected now?
Gosh, I've been trying to process that and see. My dad started that franchise in 1978. So we were realty executives 37 years. I bought the Century 21 franchise, and that 10-year contract is up in July, and I'm going to be doing an extension with them. And so I haven't signed it yet, but I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay. It can be rhetorical and something to think about.
Yeah, right? Because I've just been so burned out. I thought for sure when I was being told there's just some stipulations there that I was not going to go through to retire. And I thought for sure I was going to be angry, and I walked out of there with a smile on my face. I'm like, okay. But we've been there since 1978, so maybe that's part of it. But I think these next couple years is going to be interesting. So I am trying to figure out my NLP work that I'm going to do, the healing work. I'm going to split my week up with the real estate and just really focus on both. And
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for you.
yeah, just do the work. So I take Abby to work with me, or she goes to doggy daycare. So she doesn't care. She's not going to be here by herself.
Yeah.
Since you're not going to hypnotize some woman to marry me, I'm going to have to do something else. So, and you're engaged, right?
I am, yes.
Did you hypnotize him?
No, I met him before I learned hypnosis, but maybe I already knew it. So maybe I did.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that's exciting. Good for you. My little girl gets married in May, and her fiance, his nickname is Bam. Well, my best buddy, his nickname is Bam. I'm like, there's not going to be two Bams, and that's creepy. So I call him Abraham by his given name, and he's just so cute because he just sits there and just lets me do it. Even though he told me like 19 times he didn't like to be called Abraham. So I call him Abraham, father of many children, instead of father of many nations in the Bible. I'm like, you guys need to hurry up because I want to be a granddad. And I want to put some fat baby in the backseat of the Maserati with the dog up front, and we're going to the beach. That'll be fun.
No pressure for your daughter.
No pressure. No pressure.
Wow.
So do you just specialize on pain, or do you do other things? Do you help people quit smoking? Do you do any of that stuff too?
Yeah, my niche, I would say, is chronic pain, but I am helping people with all kinds of areas. I've had a client with OCD. Currently, I have a client that I'm helping with competition anxiety.
Okay.
Yeah, so hypnosis works for a lot of different things because it's working at the subconscious belief level.
Mm-hmm. So I might be putting you on the spot, but let's say I called you up and I wanted you to help me with social anxiety. What would that look like? I mean, I'm sure there's probably a series of questions that you ask, but as the practitioner going through the NLP training, we're being taught to ask better questions and look at things different and ask questions differently to get the client to not give you the knee-jerk reaction answer, but to get them to think. So how would you resolve that problem?
That's a great question. I definitely take my time getting to know someone. So I have an intake form and really asking some of those deeper questions. And the thing I love about the intake form is they have time to sit by themselves without talking to me in person to kind of write it all out and experience it for themselves. Like, what am I dealing with and how would I answer this question without being, because sometimes sitting here in person, you're like, okay, let me quickly, consciously bring something to mind.
Sure.
And of course, then once we first connect, I kind of go deeper with them on the intake form. But this is what I love about hypnosis, and the way I do it is I like to get someone super mentally relaxed. So I do hypnosis with eyes closed.
Okay.
And so we're going on that journey together where definitely clearing your mind, kind of a meditative state where nothing is coming up for you and we're not focusing on the day-to-day life or whatever you even said to me is what you consciously think the reason is.
Sure.
And depending on the metaphors that work best for that person, but I work really in a metaphoric way, we'll get to a spot that then you can allow, your mind is so mentally relaxed that then something new will come up for you. And so, because consciously you wouldn't be able to go there, but since you're so mentally relaxed and we're working in a different realm in your subconscious mind, more subconscious beliefs and thoughts can come up. So that's what I love about this is like, it's never what you say it is.
Yeah. I guess that's kind of what my point was is, I mean, do you go just for, in my mind, are you going, hey, we're going to talk about social anxiety, or, because the reality is it's probably not social, it's something else.
Yeah, it is. Every time I've worked with someone, so one time I had a client come in for addiction with coffee. And so I'm like, okay, great, we'll work on that. It was not addiction to coffee. Then we worked on her issue. Then that was definitely on the other side of the spectrum about what would help her to get over. She realized it was a coping mechanism for something that was deeper rooted. And also I have another modality I work with. It's called integral eye movement therapy. And so it works on memory. So a lot of times it's say like social anxiety. So you're saying I'm experiencing anxiety. So we'll go and see what memories you have based on that experience. And with the eye movement, we work on that to take that memory down. So it's not as, you don't recall it as often. And so that takes the emotion away. So it's a really cool modality because it works instantly, like 2 minutes, and you're like, you feel the shift.
Yeah. So I guess what they call that collapsing the memory. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what blows me away about all this stuff is watching people suffer. And I was one of them for 50 years. And I don't know how I can say it's been 50 years because I feel like I'm 26, but somehow it's been...
Well, you look 26.
Oh, thanks. And sitting there saying 50 years, that just fucking bothers me a little bit. But but nobody talks about this stuff, right? I mean, they don't teach us this stuff in school. They don't... I mean, I graduated high school. I didn't know how to balance a checkbook. I didn't know how to write a check. And granted, that was a few years ago, but there's all these, I call it the cheat code. There's all these cheat codes to life. And that's where, if you're listening to the show and you don't understand what I'm talking about, all these healers I bring on here, they're coming on here for you to hear their story and connect with them and hire them to do this work because they can change your life. They use, I call it the cheat code. And it drives me nuts. It's not on the 6 o'clock news. So many people can get better. So many people, I know we're not supposed to say get better, but so many people can heal. So many people can change. And Sandra Grace Brooks, did you know Sandra Grace? She was the first healer I ever met and a very good friend of mine. And she said a long time ago to me, she goes, Wesley, honey, not everybody wants to heal. I was like, yeah, that person's talking about it all the time. She said, those are the ones that don't. The louder they are, the more it's on Facebook, all their trauma and all their drama and all the stuff. She said they don't want to heal. And I understand that not everybody does, but it just kills me that there's these opportunities for people to connect and shift it like that.
Yeah.
Because I've seen, do you know what cutting cords is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't know what cutting cords is, every single person that you've ever met, from an infant to all through school, of course, the people you've dated. So if you're 50 years old, you got 50 years worth of connections. You don't need those strings attached to you. So one of the things we do is cut and remove those with Archangel Michael. And I had a lady come in and she was sobbing in the next room. I mean, hysterically sobbing.
Wow.
And to the point where she was interrupting my session. It was that loud. And so when she came in, I knew she was going through a breakup. I figured it was like a week or so old. It had been 2.5 years. And she was still that raw. And we cut the cords. And the other thing we could do, and clearly you're not touch steering this, but we removed the energy of people you've been with, whether they had permission to touch you or not, the energy of that person's there. So we cut the cords, removed the sensual energy from her and some other work. And she came a couple weeks later. And she comes in the office. I'm like, how are you? I said, oh, I'm fine. I just had Frank get all the shit out of my house. I'm like, what do you mean? And so I asked her, I said, what would that have looked like if you had not had the cords and stuff cut? And she said, oh, I'd be in bed for 3 months.
Wow.
He just had junk at her house so she can have something of him. And the reality is that energy that you can't see, that connection that you can't see is valid. And just something as simple as that changes people's lives. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I love seeing it. This is my favorite part of working with people. You never know what's going to happen, and it's trusting the journey. And there as the guide.
Yeah.
I don't actually do the work you do, and it's magical to see that, to see someone experience that they shifted themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Rocky, you're friends with, you said you're friends with Rocky. I love Rocky. And my favorite thing about Rocky.
Okay, tell me.
Yeah. Her birthday is the same day as the United States Marine Corps. Just saying. So November 10th. And she's like, all the Marines love that. We do. But Rocky's cool. She's a very well-rounded healer. She's a wonderful friend. And so she did some hypnosis stuff on me in the past. And I think we were working on unworthiness, I think. And for me, it took me to a past life where I was standing over this grave where I had just buried my wife and there's 2 or 3 kids there. And I think the energy of it felt like they had gotten some kind of disease, some kind of flu or something, and they had died. And that's where that seed was planted in my soul of not feeling worthy. And that was weird to experience.
How did you shift afterwards, after experiencing that?
Yeah, it's just gone.
Gone?
It was
That's
just
amazing.
Gone, yeah. And when you're in that moment, and one of the things she had to do is she had to take and step me back a little bit because I couldn't stop crying. I mean, my whole everything was in front of me. And, how you've suffered or how I suffered with that underlying, I'm not worthy, I don't deserve, or whatever you want to say it for so many years. And then in a 50-minute session is gone.
Yeah.
I like that. I like the cheat code.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
And to go back to also with chronic pain, a lot of it can be emotionally rooted as well. So that's where it's not only the sensations you're feeling in your body. It could be trapped emotions going on that you haven't processed.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that too is happening. You don't realize how much maybe the suppression of anger about maybe your mom in your life or something is causing that physical pain in your body.
Oh, yeah. Well, I had a client on the table, I don't know, a week ago. And typically when my clients get off the table, they're pain-free. And there was just this spot in her chest that was not releasing. And when I basically asked the energy, why is it not releasing? And I clearly heard it say she doesn't want to let it go. And I asked her, I said, are you wanting to let this go? And she started to cry. I said, you don't have to. There's no guilt and shame here. There's no wrong. And she said, no, I don't want to let it go. I said, okay. I said, so there it is. And so what I encourage her to do is go home, get quiet with herself, put her hand over that spot and talk to that energy, because the reality is she loved herself so much that a piece of her soul stayed in that vibration and created a spot in her body that was painful for her to come back at a later date, reconnect with it, and heal it, and move forward.
Yeah.
That's the way I like to think about it. Because if we do it that way, we're not in victim energy, because I could easily say, oh gosh, I'm always in pain. Or you love yourself so deeply, you've kept the pain there for you to go back and heal it. So we could be a victim or we could be in dominion of our life. So I like to be in dominion.
I love that. Yeah. Because a lot of pain is also about identity. Like you said, she wanted that pain because it helped as an identity piece for her. So that's also another portion I work on with people, is this whole identification with their disease or their symptoms. Because we use that language a lot of times, like, I am a person that has migraines. And
Sure.
you've really put that identity piece into yourself. And so now you're experiencing migraines because that's a part of you. You've kept that as something you wanted as a personality trait.
Oh, yeah. I tell people all the time, you go to the doctor and see the scientist who has to check a box, and they say, hey, you've got this disease. I don't expect you to put your head in the mud, but when he did that to me, I was like, don't put that shit on me. He says, oh, you're just in denial. I said, I'm not in stage 1 nothing.
That's why I like to say doctors are the best hypnotists.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have authority. You go in the room when you're going into a doctor's space or in a hospital, you're like, oh, this place has authority. People here are educated. You already have this, you're primed for that environment. So as soon as you're in that environment and the doctor tells you something, you're like, well, they have authority. Of course they can tell me that.
Oh, yeah.
And your subconscious takes that on and runs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I just tell people, do not claim the disease. I've got healing to do.
Yeah.
I'm hearing what you're saying. I'm going to think about it. I'm not putting it on social media. I'm not calling every single friend. I'm not going to be on there every single day on Facebook saying I got the C word as this disease. I don't need to, because that imprints back inside you. And I ain't doing that one. I ain't doing that one.
Well, I'm proud of you. That's
Thanks.
good.
Thanks. No, it's funny how some things, as a healer, I can shift in myself or shift in somebody else in a moment's notice, and other things I can't. And so, like, I had a lady this last summer, and she said, "You're my last resort." And that's a hard one to hear, because that's a lot of pressure on me. And I lost one of my good friends to a breast illness that took her life. And this lady was 50 some years old, had 3 young children, and they wanted to put her in hospice. And I'm like, well, you know what? We're going to do the work. I don't know what's going to happen. But we talked about not claiming the disease, talked about talking to your body and stuff. And 2 months later, her blood work was normal. So I haven't seen her since.
Wow.
She came in every week for, I think, 2 months. And I'm assuming she's fine. I mean, the blood work was normal. So
Yeah.
There's just miracles that happen all the time. But do you like Joel Osteen? Joel Osteen? You listen to him?
I've heard of him, but no, I haven't really listened to him.
Yeah, he's out of Texas, and he's got a ministry with like 100,000 people in it type deal. And he's always got something positive to say. And one of the things he was talking about, and I heard that podcast yesterday again, was we asked for this forgiveness, we asked for this miracle, but the one thing I wasn't doing was opening my heart to receive what I asked for. So you think about the door leaving the podcast room is closed because we don't want to hear Abby bark. She barks at the ugly dogs going down the street, by the way. So if I am throwing the ball constantly and hitting the door, it's not going to go through the door because the door is not open to receive the ball. And something so simple I never considered before. And then I started to pray, and my prayers, I was not in victim energy, meaning, oh, please, Lord, if it's your will, it's his fucking will. All right. He's there. And I cuss a little bit sometimes.
I love it.
Yeah. I'm probably the worst ordained minister on the planet, but that's fine. But he wants to heal us, asking, will you forgive me? And then opening my heart to receive the forgiveness. Will you bless me with this blessing and open my heart, opening my mind, opening my eyes, and opening my life to look for, because I might think that you're the blessing, but the reality is the blessing is the mailman dropping off the mail, that makes the connection to whatever you're looking for. And when I started looking in my peripherals for the blessings, I'm like, holy crap, there's been all these miracles lined up for me for years that I just never seen. Because in my mind, it's going to be right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're looking for the obvious right in front of you instead of Because that's how our whole journey is. If you didn't turn right that one time and then end up this one place or go to, I don't know how you met your ex-wife. If you didn't end up at the one location to meet your ex-wife, that whole journey wouldn't happen. So it's like, what steps took you to get there that day?
Well,
And that's the gratitude and journey, is those little steps.
well, I was hanging out with her Army Ranger brother. I was in the Marine Corps. We were drinking, and she had short shorts and a little top. So there's that. And now we have this beautiful little girl. But if people wanted to connect with you, because I'm assuming you can work with anybody in the world through Zoom, right?
Yes, I do virtual, and so that's always a great question. So I want to answer it here. So thank you for asking it, or not asking it, but I'm going to ask it.
Yeah.
Hypnosis is the same in person or virtual. Because again, as soon as you close your eyes, you go internal, and we're working on your subconscious. And also the great thing I love about working with people online, usually you're in your space of comfort. You're at home. One of my clients had all of her pets surrounding her. So it was such a great experience. Like, you're more comfortable and relaxed. So the work gets to be deeper, and you're not stressed going in traffic trying to get to my office. I do have an in-person office. So if you're in Virginia Beach, I do work in person as well. But you can find me everywhere. I'm Sarah with an H, Sarah Hypnosis. So that's on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and then also my website is sarahhypnosis.com. And I have actually a 6-week group hypnosis program I do. It's called HM Pain. And the next round starts April 23rd. So I would love it if people would want to join, because that's the great way. I definitely provide a lot of education. We briefly talked about it, but a lot of the reasons why some of the things you've experienced in your life might have hypnotized you to experience this chronic pain. So I go deeper into that, also with like deeper hypnosis sessions each time. So that starts April 23rd. And if you're listening to this, there's a code INLIGHT for $100 off.
Nice. Well, thank you for the discount. So, and thank you for sharing that. Now, just make sure I'm clear. You're not teaching me how to do hypnosis. We're doing a group class where you're healing me from whatever's messing with me, right?
I do both. So I am doing sessions during the group hypnosis, but that's also what I'm training you, because this isn't just I call it this is macro work, is the hypnosis sessions and like listening to the recordings on your own. But the micro work is your daily work you need to do consciously around your brain and your thoughts. So there are activities I give you throughout the day to help you in situations where you're experiencing pain that take you maybe like 2 to 10 minutes, depending on how long you want to work with it. So that way you have something in the moment to work on what you're experiencing.
Nice. So in that class, do you teach us how to talk like Germans and hold the pocket watch? We've got ways to make you talk.
No, I don't.
No, we don't do that. Okay. That's cool. I like that. So is there anything else? We're about out of time. And I'm not going to call you Michelle this time. I'm going to call you Sarah and get your name right. That would be helpful. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? And by the way, I think this is fascinating. I'm really excited about this. This is going to be cool.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you letting me share my message today. I would just follow me. I share a lot of people's results. So if you're looking like, okay, does this actually work? I have Google reviews. I already did a round of this ancient pain, and there was some amazing things that happened. So I want to help you as well experience that, you, the listener.
That's cool. Well, I'm going to sign up for the 6-week class. So we'll figure that out afterwards. But I think it's going to be cool. I'm looking forward to that. And thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for opening your heart and helping us understand this another level of healing that people can connect with. And so if you want this healing, you reach out to me, I'll connect you. You reach out directly to Sarah. She'll be happy to help you. And just remember, you're one vibrational shift away from changing everything in your life. And I used to hear that all the time and kind of secretly thought that's just BS until I've experienced it over and over and over. And the reality is things in my life changed that I would have swore would never change. And the only thing that changed was me. Typically letting go of anger and frustration. And because I know when I step into those feelings and emotions that are lies, it closes doors for me.
Yeah,
So
I would agree.
Well, young lady, thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thank you. I love this. Thank you.
You're welcome. Everybody, we'll see you soon. If you have any questions, find me on Instagram, VBHealer, vbhealer.com. You can find me on the web. And if you haven't been told today, we love you, we appreciate you, and we'll see you soon. Say bye, Michelle.
Oh, bye. Thank you.
I was going to call you Michelle again. So say bye, Sarah.
All right. Bye. Nice to talk with you.